Hello, I'm Elton Robinson with your weekly grain and oilseed update. In USDA's July World Supply and Demand estimates, the agency raised wheat exports for the 2016-17 year by 25 million bushels to 925 million bushels, which would be the highest in 3 years. Ending stocks were raised 55 million bushels to 1.1 billion bushels, the highest since 1988-89. Corn production for this year was raised 110 million bushels, reflecting increased planted and harvested areas from the most recent acreage report. Corn ending stocks for 2016-17 are projected 73 million bushels higher. Corn exports for the 2016-17 marketing year are projected 100 million bushels higher on reduced competition from Brazil, where corn production for 2015-16 was lowered 7.5 million tons, reflecting the adverse impact of this year's early end to the rainy season in much of central Brazil. An unusual early June freeze also adversely affected the second corn crop in Paraná, following what had been a generally favorable growing season. Argentina corn production for 2015-16 was raised 1 million tons. Projected sorghum production was raised 13 million bushels on higher expected harvested area. Long grain U.S. rice production was raised 2 million hundredweight, while combined medium and short grain production was raised 12 million hundredweight. The production increase reflects the 148,000 acre increase in planted area, mostly in California. Ending stocks are unchanged for long grain, but raised by 6 million to 16.5 million for medium and short grain. All rice ending stocks are now forecast at 56.9 million hundredweight, the largest since 1985-86. Global ending stocks for 2016-17 were raised 400,000 tons to 107.3 million. Soybean production is projected at 3.88 billion bushels, up 80 million due to increased harvested area. Harvested area, forecast at a record 83 million acres in June, is 1.6 million above the June forecast. Soybean yield is projected at 46.7 bushels per acre, unchanged from last month. Soybean ending stocks are projected at 290 million bushels, up 30 million from last month. Soybean exports for 2015-16 are projected at 1.795 billion bushels, up 35 million, reflecting shipments and outstanding sales through early July. Let's move on to weekly exports. The summary is based on reports from exporters for the week ending July 7th. Wheat exports of 341,000 metric tons were down 36% from the previous week and 32% from the prior 4-week average, with China, Mexico, Guatemala, the United Arab Emirates, Japan, and Nigeria as primary destinations. Corn exports of 1.24 million metric tons were down 2% from the previous week and 9% from the prior 4-week average. Destinations included Japan, Mexico, South Korea, Peru, Morocco, and Egypt. Grain sorghum exports of 117,000 metric tons were up 83% from the previous week and 37% from the prior 4-week average, with China taking over 115,000 metric tons. Rice exports of 51,000 metric tons, down 67% from the previous week and 39% from the prior 4-week average, were reported to Japan, Honduras, Haiti, Guatemala, and Saudi Arabia. Soybean exports of nearly 400,000 metric tons were up noticeably from the previous week and 69% from the prior 4-week average. Beans went to China, the Netherlands, Mexico, Malaysia, Tunisia, and Peru. Soybean meal exports of 156,000 metric tons were down 25% from the previous week, but up 2% from the prior 4-week average. Primary destinations included the Philippines, Mexico, Peru, Canada, and Panama. Soybean oil exports of 32,000 metric tons were up 21% from the previous week, with Iran as the biggest customer, followed by Senegal, Mexico, and Canada. Beef exports of 11,500 metric tons were down 13% from the previous week, while pork exports of 15,500 metric tons were down 22% from the previous week. Well, that's it for this week's report. I'm Elton Robinson. See you next week.